Welcome to our channel. Today we're about to witness an emotional moment as Prince William shares the final words Princess Diana entrusted to him, causing King Charles to break down in tears. This is a surprising and heartfelt story that reveals the deep emotions and bonds the royal family has kept hidden for years. Don't miss it. Join us to experience the profound love and connection within the royal family. Hey friends, do you feel moved by stories about the royal family? If yes, drop a 1 in the comments. If not, leave a 0. Enjoy the video and don't forget to hit that subscribe button to support me. The crowd fell silent, holding their breath, as Prince William stepped toward the microphone standing beneath the statue of his mother. The atmosphere was still tense, as if waiting for something monumental. Then he took the mic, his voice ringing out, carrying the weight of words never shared in public before. "One day I will become king. Don't let that change you," he said, his gaze fixed on the crowd, his tone steady but tinged with sadness. The statue of Princess Diana seemed to be listening to these words. Far away across the garden, the camera captured an image of King Charles. His eyes were teary, his lips trembling as if he were going through an inner storm. The king, who had endured countless scandals, sorrows, and years of silence, could no longer suppress his emotions, and tears streamed down his face. Diana's words felt like a wound to his heart, and they resurfaced stronger than ever before. No longer whispered words from the past, but a crashing wave sweeping everything in its path. Prince William, standing beneath his mother's statue, continued. "My mother's voice has always guided me," he said with a solemnity that made the world seem to pause and listen. It wasn't just a tribute. It was a bearing of his soul, a truth never shared beyond the palace walls. He slowly revealed the words Diana had whispered to him just before she passed, words no one else had heard. "Remember who you are, William. Don't let power change your heart." The cameras kept rolling, capturing every moment. Charles and Camilla stood behind their faces, filled with expectation, but tinged with unease. This was no mere ceremony. It was a deeply personal confession. Everyone sensed the shift in the air. It wasn't just a statement. It was a turning point. The ceremony, meant as a tribute, had transformed into something monumental, a powerful emotional handover across generations of the royal family. William wasn't just speaking, he was passing down a legacy. A powerful message had turned an ordinary ceremonial moment into a profound emotional experience. These weren't mere stories of the past, but lessons he carried every day. The monarchy may evolve, but humanity does not. William said, his gaze piercing the crowd. "Today we remember love over titles," he continued. His words were bold, heartfelt, and authentic, as if a son were voicing the shared truth of all. The air grew heavy, tinged with sorrow, yet brimming with strength. William's words were not just a statement, but a challenge to royal tradition, a historic turning point. The ceremony was no longer merely a tribute. It had become a moment of profound impact, resonating not only within the royal family, but across the entire kingdom. And as William went on, everything became clearer. Diana's warnings, channeled through her son's voice, left an indelible mark on everyone's minds. One night, he paused, took a deep breath, and revealed a story no one could have anticipated. She looked at me and whispered, "One day you'll be king. Don't let it change you." The crowd leaned in, feeling the weight behind those words. It wasn't just a royal remark. It was a mother's final lesson to her son. William gently explained that those words weren't a public speech, but an intimate moment during bedtime hugs years ago. Those moments weren't performances. They were real, William said. And those words have shaped my life, guiding me in leadership. Suddenly, the statue behind him was no longer just a monument. It became a vivid reminder of the values Diana had passed down. His message was a test of the conflict between power and principle. "Diana entrusted me with her truth," he said, "and now I entrust that truth to you." This intimate revelation made the royal family more relatable than ever. "This isn't gossip. This is moral guidance," he emphasized. Emotion rippled through the audience, and journalists and commentators fell silent. A historical precedent, one wondered, but the answer was no. Yet moral courage abounded. William concluded with fierce resolve, "I stand here not as a prince, but as a reminder of her voice." The ceremony was no longer a ritual. It was a challenge to the institution itself. With Diana's private warning now public, a seismic shift began. What would King Charles do next as this truth landed in the hands of the man he had raised? His emotional response could redefine their relationship and shake the monarchy's foundation. The world would want to witness this. The cameras panned to King Charles as William finished speaking. His posture was rigid, his lips trembling, but no smile appeared. Though distant, his tears were unmistakable. This was the first public sign that his composed facade was cracking. When William quoted Diana, Charles didn't immediately look at the camera. Then the moment was truly powerful. The crowd held its breath as they watched Charles's jaw tremble. His lips pressed tightly together, as if he were holding back grief, regret, or both. This was the first time a royal family member hadn't hidden their tears. A single tear rolled down his cheek, and the entire world witnessed the king's transformation not through power but through pain. No context was needed. You just had to see the raw wound on his face. This public display shattered centuries of royal restraint. Charles, always seen as composed and proper, now unhesitatingly showed himself to be authentic, vivid, and unfiltered. It wasn't a scandal, nor was it weakness. It was connection, a profound connection to his past and to his own emotions.
Behind them, the ornate wallpaper and marble floors faded into a blur. Time seemed to slow, and their bond became the steady anchor for everything that followed. William's voice, now quiet and reflective, said, "These moments weren't scripted for a movie. They were real, just Mom and me in the middle of life's everyday mess." We see Diana hugging him tightly, fixing his collar as he leaned down gently, showing him how to forgive. This public moment broke through centuries of royal restraint. Charles, long viewed as reserved and proper, now openly revealed a version of himself that was genuine, raw, and unfiltered. It wasn't a scandal and it wasn't weakness. It was connection, a deep emotional connection to his past and to his own feelings. A cold, invisible line had been drawn, and William guarded it with unwavering resolve. To him, it wasn't just a boundary. It was sacred. It served as a form of spiritual self-defense, a shield that protected the cherished memory of his late mother. This wasn't about symbolism or protocol. It was about preserving Diana's legacy from the very forces he believed.
William always felt clearly that Charles and Camilla were the ones who pushed his mother to the brink of despair, those who not only hurt, but cruelly and inhumanely destroyed Diana's spirit. They gradually suffocated her last remaining hopes, forcing her to endure pain that she could not express. When Diana fell, it was not only a personal collapse, but also a gradual erasure of her presence within royal life. Charles and Camilla hastily wiped away every remaining trace, ascending the throne, as if Diana had... William never spoke these thoughts aloud, but Catherine understood them deeply. She saw it in the distant, sorrowful look in his eyes during family gatherings at Sandringham, where even the warmth of family couldn't soothe the deep pains within him. Catherine noticed it too in the quiet moments when he excused himself from a party without drawing attention, simply because he could not bear Camilla's presence. That invisible tension lingered like an unhealed wound in William's heart, compelling him to keep his distance to protect himself and his small family from And once, just once, while holding their young daughter, William whispered to Catherine a silent vow he never dared to speak aloud. "I will never let her grow up in a family like mine." Those words were more than just a promise. There exists a wide gap between William and Camilla, a distance that no royal gala or media campaign could ever bridge. Despite outward efforts to maintain harmony deep down, that divide remains a solid barrier impossible to overcome. This gap is not merely a personal matter, but symbolizes the profound disagreements between two generations within the royal family, where
Ironically, the tension between William and Camilla is more than just a personal struggle. It's a symbolic clash of opposing worldviews. On one side stand Charles and Camilla figures, whose choices have often been shaped by personal desire and ambition, sometimes at the expense of public trust and moral clarity. On the other side is William, burdened with the task
William's words weren't just a statement, they were a promise. He acknowledged his imperfections. "There are days I doubt myself. There are days I wonder if I've let her down." His voice filled with sincerity. There was no royal script protecting him. He wanted the world to understand that the monarchy didn't have to be cold. It could be warmed by service. And that's exactly what he decided to do. As he concluded, William didn't bow in the usual ceremonial fashion. Instead, he extended his hand toward his father, a gesture more inviting than an act of deference. And as he stepped back, you could feel the palpable tension in the air, with the entire world watching, awaiting a shift. He had forged a bridge between ceremony and confession, between royal duty and vulnerability. And in doing so, he wasn't changing kings. He was changing how people saw the monarchy. To solidify his message, this moment needed connection. And that leads us to an unprecedented sight, a public embrace between father and son, unscripted, just raw emotion. It was a gesture loaded with history, hope, and immense expectation. Next, Charles and William take a step towards reconciliation.
This was the first time they had openly shown affection in years, and yet nothing about it felt staged. There was no script to follow, no formal tradition to guide them. It was just a father and son, linked by shared grief and the weight of duty, finding their way back to each other beneath the open sky. That small crack in their public distance broke through centuries of royal protocol. The crowd stood in stunned silence.
Then came the hug. Royal watchers gasped, not because of a scandal, but because of their hearts. Charles bowed his head slightly, and this gesture wasn't just a sign of respect, but like an acknowledgement. The weight of the crown was tilting. He let William steady him, as if to remind the world that leadership isn't just a powerful duty, but also about empathy, vulnerability, and the person behind it all. This was the first time they had truly shown public affection in years, yet it didn't appear calculated. There was no script to lean on, no critical protocol. It was simply a father and a son bound by grief and duty, reconnecting in the open under the vast sky. The crack in that public distance shattered centuries of royal protocol. The crowd stood silent, stunned. Then from the stillness, a soft applause began. It wasn't excitement, but a human acknowledgement, a recognition that the monarchy exists, not for its rituals, but for its ability to reflect who we are. With just one embrace and the crown balanced on bowed shoulders, the agitated individuals stepped out of their titles and into true values. This moment didn't just mend a relationship, it signaled a new direction. But while father and son mended their relationship, not everyone was healed. Camilla quietly watched from the sidelines. The palace drama wasn't over yet. In the next act, we'll see her reaction and feel the tension this emotional reset could create. The stakes are rising, and so are the questions. Who will embrace the change and who will resist? The camera panned to Camilla as Charles and William embraced. She stood directly behind them, her expression calm but unreadable. There was no smile, no tears, just a composed posture, but the tension around her was palpable. The audience perceived a queen consort caught between her love for her husband and an unease in the face of an unrelenting wave of change. Don't forget to like and share if you find this moment truly emotional. What do you think about the tension Camilla is facing? Leave your thoughts in the comments and make sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on our next videos about unique royal stories. Some in the palace began to speculate that she was quietly questioning William's sudden spotlight. Would this moment overshadow the role she had painstakingly secured for years? Observers noted a flicker in her eyes like an instinctive check of her own image and position. And as the crowd applauded, she paused before joining in as if a ripple of caution, not complete immersion. Rumors began to circulate almost immediately. Some whispered that she felt sidelined seeing the father-son embrace as a public power play. Others suggested she was formulating her own strategy, perhaps quietly behind the scenes rallying support from royal patrons and high-ranking military officials. That moment, seemingly peaceful, hinted at the formation of factions within the palace quietly brewing in silence and shadow. A reporter later remarked, "Camilla's silence today spoke volumes." While father and son united under Diana's voice, Camilla remained quiet, and that silence was even more heavily weighted. Was she preparing to stand in solidarity, or would she forge her own path in a monarchy changing beneath her feet? But while emotional bonds were publicly strengthened, the invisible lines of ambition and loyalty were being drawn behind closed doors. In the next act, those who silently observed began to speak, and a big question arose. Would Diana's message create a wave of public defiance or foster the formation of covert alliances within the royal family? The stakes continued to rise, and not everything would remain this calm. The public and media reaction was almost instantaneous. Newsrooms lit up with powerful responses. The king cried, and Prince Aaronhart unfurled the BBC banner. Social media exploded. Hashtags like Diana's legacy and the embrace flooded feeds. Commentators began debating whether a monarchy unafraid to show emotion could forge a fresh sense of relevance. The public reacted with relief, hope, and curiosity. Viewers shared clips of the moment William embraced his father. A viral tweet read, "We need to see this humanity." The polls reflected it. William's approval soared to 85%, while trust in Charles only rose by 20%. Broadcasts in Canada and Australia began with segments titled Royal Rebirth. The message was clear. The king and the prince transformed back into human beings. The world's heart seemed to empathize. Talk shows shifted their tone with one astonished host exclaiming, "They broke the script tonight, no planned ceremony, just a son comforting his father." However, not everyone was pleased. Another expert warned about the political ramifications. The monarchy is a symbol, but now it seems more alive than ever. Even opposition members of parliament paused to reflect. Some praised the royal display of vulnerability, while others emphasized that the monarchy still had to maintain its responsibilities. But conservative voices didn't entirely agree. One expert wrote, "This soft monarchy risks losing its regal standing." And a big question gradually emerged. Camilla's silence couldn't go unnoticed. Some royal watchers began to question her reaction, or more precisely, the lack thereof. The tone was suddenly broken. Some saw fresh unity, while others recognized cracks forming. While the public embraced the emotion, the palace had to face its own backlash, both public and private. King Charles, already burdened by ongoing health concerns, appeared visibly shaken by the dramatic turn of events. Within palace walls, some insiders believed he had been completely blindsided by the speed and certainty of William's decisions. Others whispered that he'd been warned in advance, but simply couldn't imagine his son would actually follow through with such bold. Now the crown faces more than a public relations dilemma. It's staring directly into a widening internal rift. Rumors and questions began to swirl. Was Camilla deliberately being cut out of the monarchy's future? The silence surrounding her. Many believe that William's decision to restructure the monarchy was above all a deeply personal tribute to his mother, a way of honoring Diana, who left this world far too soon. This wasn't just a political move or a shift in royal protocol. It was a profound act of loyalty, a declaration of values rooted in the legacy she left behind. A respected royal historian put it succinctly, this wasn't just a speech, it was a strategic recalibration, a quiet response to everything Diana stood for and to everything the institution failed to see while she was alive. Through this bold step, William wasn't just shaping the monarchy's future, he was correct. If the heir speaks out and the king listens, what prevents this from becoming a public forum? Should royal duties remain silent, or can emotional wisdom help enhance transparency? The following morning, internal memos indicated that this moment had structural consequences. Some voices urged reform, calling for an official role for the heir in shaping the cultural tone of the monarchy. But there are also those who warn against politicizing the monarchy. An older colleague remarked, "The monarchy is based on neutrality." That hug was moving, but we must ask ourselves what comes next. The monarchy, once defined by distance and restraint, now seems to be redefining itself. The soaring emotions and constitutional tension raise a new question. Can emotion become an asset, or will it become a burden for the crown? And in the next moment, Catherine steps forward. Her role, though unsaid, could determine whether the monarchy will be renewed or divided. Off-camera, Catherine moves gracefully, not the center of attention, but in the soft light of the moment at the edge of the stage, she stands just a step behind William, poised and calm, showing unwavering support. She gave a gentle, reassuring nod, a silent promise that she and William were united for a common goal. Throughout the ceremony, she turned emotion into presence. A light touch on William's arm, a look of understanding. These actions were not in the script, but they spoke volumes. She reinforced William's leadership not just as a consort prince, but as an indispensable partner in shaping the future of the monarchy. Her clarity of action surpassed everything, not the crown, but her powerful presence. A palace insider revealed that Catherine's influence grows whenever there is unrest. She has the ability to provide a solid foundation for such moments. And today, she did it once again. While Camilla's silence hinted at tension, Catherine's quiet calm signaled unity with the potential to lead a new personal monarchy.
But there are also voices cautioning against turning the monarchy into a political stage. An experienced colleague noted, "The monarchy rests on neutrality." That hug was powerful, but we have to ask what comes next. Once defined by distance and decorum, the institution now appears to be redefining itself. The surge of emotion combined with constitutional tensions raises a crucial question. Can vulnerability become a strength for the crown?
The monarchy is not just the story of father and son. It is a family team where every member plays a crucial role. But can this balance be sustained next? That moment became a turning point where modern humanity began to shape a new monarchy. Yet the question remains, can it be maintained and grow in the long run? The emotional reset within the monarchy not only affects public perception, but also creates a symbol for a larger transformation. Royal historians and psychologists have begun calling this the emotional reset. The monarchy has recalibrated trading distance for connection, ritual for sincerity, and the public has noticed a marked difference. Applause has replaced the classic protocol. In that moment, a major shift began. This doesn't require a constitutional change, just a shift in tone. That moment symbolized an unspoken but unmistakable shift in the balance of power within the royal family. Behind the palace's closed doors, the atmosphere grew tense with heated discussions. Advisors and family members debated whether King Charles should step forward to reassert his authority and status in the face of the changes led by William, or quietly and gracefully allow the power transition to unfold. Your monarchy now reflects modern values. Some nations have restored interest in royal activities, while rare interviews with William and Catherine have highlighted themes of mental health, community service, and kindness. The monarchy is now repositioned no longer just around the throne, but at its heart. However, not everyone accepts this change. Critics warn about the authenticity of this change, suggesting it may merely be a performance. An expert cautioned that if future generations view vulnerability as a weakness, this reset could unravel under pressure. The monarchy has opened its heart, but now it must protect and sustain that sincerity. This reset appears full of promise, but it is also fragile. Marked by warmth and unity, the monarchy steps into a new era. But with the emotional shift comes a significant challenge. Can the family maintain its cohesion, especially when ambition and disagreements might erode that unity? Next, Camilla will make her move. Her response could be the deciding factor in whether this reset brings peace or disrupts the balance of the crown. Behind the scenes, Camilla's response began to form quickly. In private, she welcomed Charles' public reconciliation, but she understood that William and Catherine's moment seemed to shift the spotlight away from her. Sources reveal that she asked her advisors, "What is my position now?" The answer was far from clear. An insider shared that Camilla was weighing two paths. One was to adapt and step into charitable roles tied to empathy, mental health, and even heritage work. Diana had once supported reclaiming influence, encouraging close collaboration with Charles in public speeches and royal reforms. However, both paths come with significant risks. Would she adapt and reclaim her position or be overshadowed by this shift? Rumors began to spread. Some suggested that Camilla felt sidelined, while others believed she was preparing for a subtle move, perhaps an upcoming community visit or a speaking event aimed at promoting inclusivity. For many young people following the royal story, Camilla's collapse wasn't just a shocking moment. It was a symbol of long-awaited change. To them, It marked a break from the monarchy's rigid, outdated traditions and hinted at a future that feels more relatable, more human. It In 2002, an unfortunate incident occurred when Princess Anne's German Shepherd attacked two boys on her property. Although she took full responsibility for not properly controlling the dog, Anne received strong support from her brother King Charles. Their close family bond has long provided a solid source of emotional strength, helping Anne face personal challenges with resilience. Through such difficult moments, the unwavering support from her loved ones has been a vital part of her ability to persevere. What lies ahead? As the sun sets over Buckingham Palace, the royal family faces a crossroads. The public has embraced vulnerability, the palace has adapted its tone, and Catherine has shown her quiet strength, but questions about the structure remain. What does a modern monarchy need to survive? Charles will have to make a choice: continue focusing on tradition or lean into transformation. His next public speech will mark the direction of that choice. Will he reshape his reign as one of emotional management or reaffirm hierarchy and ritual? The story of the crown hinges on that speech. William and Catherine are now in a position to carry the torch. If they continue down the path of empathy and authenticity, supported by Camilla's potentially redemptive role, they could shape a new royal era. However, if ambition overshadows purpose, public trust could waver, and for Camilla, her role may well be the most pivotal turning point. Will she bravely step into a role that promotes supporting values or seek to reclaim her former prominence? The monarchy stands at a crossroads: rebirth or breakdown. The next move could be a declaration of unity or the final spark of division. This is not the end. This is the next chapter where tradition meets transition and personal values collide with the weight of the Constitution. Stay tuned closely, as the future of the monarchy hinges on what they do next. With one decisive moment, they could redefine the monarchy or witness its collapse. If you too are moved by the deep bond within the royal family, don't forget to hit like, share this video, and leave a comment below. Be sure to subscribe to our channel for more touching and revealing stories from the royal life with moments you've never seen before. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.